All right, MAGA, here we are again. Another day, another goddamn dumpster fire ignited by the Oompa Loompan equivalent of a half-melted circus peanut, and you're still there, clapping like lobotomized seals at his every word. You act like he's the second coming of Jesus when he's really just the first coming of a bargain bin Benedict Arnold who treats the Constitution like it's a Chinese-made cocktail napkin at Mar-a-Lago, smeared with ketchup from his well-done steak and scrawled on with a Sharpie like a toddler trying to fix the rules of Uno. The other night's address to Congress wasn't a speech. It wasn't even a coherent fucking thought. It was a sweaty, disjointed mess of self-flating delusion and vague promises about greatness that didn't contain a single goddamn idea that would actually improve your sorry-ass, camo-croc cretin lives. But that's the whole game, isn't it? It's all one big fucking distraction, while you fanny-pack fascists are busy hooting and hollering like day-drunk dodos over his brazen bullshit about a 300-year-old collecting Social Security, drag shows, or whatever other stupid shiny object he dangles in front of your slack-jawed faces. The country is circling the goddamn drain, and you're too fucking stupid, too spiteful, or both to notice. Or maybe you do notice, but you just don't give a flying because, hey, at least he's owning the libs, right? At least he's making the they, them, those people you irrationally hate feel bad, even if it means setting your own goddamn house on fire in the process. So now listen up, you cousin-loving clodhoppers, because the cold hard truth is this. None of this is about making your life better. It never fucking was. It's about keeping you distracted while they rob you blind, gut your communities, and sell this country off to the highest foreign bidder. You think he gives a shit about you? You think he even knows you exist? Newsflash. You Yankee Doodle dipshits. He wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire unless he could charge you for it. You're not his base, you're his marks. You're useful idiots, his willing accomplices in the slow, painful destruction of everything that once made this country halfway decent. And while you're busy chanting MAGA and slapping those tacky-ass Cry Harder bumper stickers on the gas-guzzling trucks you will no longer be able to afford, he and his oligarch buddies are bleeding this country dry. They're gutting your healthcare, your retirement, your schools, your environment, and your future, all while blaming everyone but themselves. Immigrants, LGBTQ people, drag queens, librarians, anyone and everyone except the actual assholes pulling the goddamn strings. And you fall for it every time. Because critical thinking ain't exactly your strong suit. Now is it, you sharp as marbles flagpole felchers? My guest this week is friend of the show, Andy Ostroy. Please check out his Substack and his podcast. Andy and I have catch-up conversation, and not in the Heinz capacity. And I guess on this one, I was team pessimism, although I am never team pessimism, and I still say fight, 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 no matter what James Carville says. So I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Welcome back. I don't know, Andy, how many times this is, maybe 3, to the Are You Effing Kidding Me podcast to my friend Andy Ostroy. Hi, Andy.
Hi. How are you?
Well, we haven't been face to face or screen to screen since it's really, I don't think since the election, definitely not since the inauguration. So we have a lot to catch up on. And I am, like you, probably very fucking overwhelmed and just kind of in like gobsmacked by all of this because it never fucking ends. So I don't know where you want to jump in, where you want to start. How have you been?
I've been good, and I was going to say, look at us. The two of us are smiling. It was just good.
Yeah, because we're insane.
Um, you know, I have adopted a policy for myself, which is not only to keep myself sane, but to actually be focused on the prize, which is winning in 2026 and then in 2028. So my mantra is win, not whine. Like stop the whining, start winning.
Mm.
I have no room in my life for people who are looking through the political landscape with a glass half empty perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about staying positive, staying optimistic, staying engaged, and focusing on winning the next election. And that goes for myself, and whether it's on my podcast or in writing that I do on Substack now, it's also if I could just spread it like a virus, like as many people that I can help, because you know, just like I do, and you're talking with people, it is really easy for Democrats right now to feel like they want to throw in the towel.
Yeah.
Because it is coming at us like a machine gun every day. And it just feels like democracy is not just under siege, but it could be gone soon.
Yeah. It does.
So if that's really the case, if you really believe that, then you have to stop whining and start doing whatever you can do to start winning. And
Yeah.
so I'm like a horse with blinders. I filter
Mhm.
out the noise. It's like, oh, we got to get rid of the pennies, paper straws, like any of that shit.
Gulf of
It's like,
America.
yeah, it's like, Governor, Governor
JoJo.
Trudeau, like any of that stuff. I don't listen to because it's
Hmm.
noise. And I've rewired my brain to function. It's almost like I've become bipolar. I'm part Andy Ostroy, part Donald Trump. I've
Oh,
rewired
God,
my
don't say that.
brain.
I'll never talk to you again.
No, but in order for me to maintain my sanity, I have to understand him.
Oh, God.
Because if you understand him, you're halfway through the battle. So
Hmm.
like so you look at the tariffs and the trade wars. Is it really about a sound fiscal foreign policy?
Hmm.
No. It's about him getting up in the morning and go, watch this, I can move the markets. Okay, tariffs. Next day markets correct. Watch this, I can get them back up again.
Hmm.
That's it. It's
I think
almost
it's
like
more
a child.
malevolent than that. I think the's more going on there than that. I
There
think
might
there's a
be
little
there,
money making going on there.
yeah, there might
Yeah.
be some market manipulation.
Yeah.
Somebody might be shorting and buying and whatever, but
Yeah.
it's it's all a power trip. So whatever he
Yes.
does, it's to feed the ego, to make him look like the boss, and everybody around him has to play the emperor's new clothes game. It's like,
Yes.
and that's how I keep my sanity. So I focus on what is important. What is the most important things to deal with? And I
Hmm.
look for the wins. The courts have been doing a great job working overtime to be that critical check that Congress
Hmm.
isn't. I'm
Hmm.
also looking for the little signs coming out of Congress, like, okay, is this maybe the moment, the inflection point where you got
Hmm.
Murkowski over here, you got Thune over here, you got like it's only 6 weeks, right? That's the
Yeah.
thing we
50
have to keep
days
telling
on
ourselves.
Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever chaos you see coming out of the administration, whatever discontent among voters, in particular the Republican voters in the Republican districts that have been going and flooding the town halls,
Or
which
you
they've
mean those paid
stopped.
actors, those paid deep state George Soros funded actors that have been going to those town halls, according to
Yes,
Mike Johnson?
the paid Democratic post, like
Yeah.
whatever we're seeing, it's only 6 weeks. So I say to myself, okay, what are the odds of Donald Trump changing, becoming logical, sensible, altruistic, caring about the American people instead of himself? What are the stopping the chaotic executive order? What's the odds of any of that changing? Zero.
Right.
So it's
Zero.
only going to get worse. So whatever we're seeing right now, whatever we're seeing from the electorate, upset about Doge, upset about Musk, the cuts, the firings, all of that, it's only going to be worse in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So I'm focusing everything I do to capitalize on that and help other people realize that as bad as it seems, there's not only hope, but cause to be optimistic.
Well, well, I agree with you about so much of that. Optimism is hard to come by, that is for sure. But we do have to find whatever little corners of the universe that exist to give us that sense of optimism when we can. And one thing that 1000% gives me a sense of that, which is again hard to find, is that the people who are starting to feel this, which is sad, are speaking out and standing up, and they're going, every day people are saying, I don't think this was what I voted for. Like, I'm pretty sure nobody told me Elon Musk was going to get my social security number. And I'm pretty sure nobody told me that, tens of thousands of veterans were going to be fired from their jobs. I'm pretty sure. Like, I mean, yes, so much of what they are doing, flooding the zone with shit, was already laid out in Project 2025, which they tried to distance themselves from for forever. But a lot of this shit is new. I don't think a lot of people expected he would go so far as to just so blatantly side with Russia and against Zelensky and against the rest of Europe so quickly out of the gate. I mean, again, it's not even 50 days. I think a lot of people thought there would be like this tiptoeing away from NATO, but this shit is like, oh, no, no. Like, the United States is aligned with Russia, Belarus, Hungary, North Korea. Like, we are the axis of douchebags now. Welcome very much to the party. But like, I think that optimism that you're talking about, and not seeing the utility in putting your head down and being disheartened and being like browbeaten and just woe is me while constantly hand wringing over what went wrong. It's like, no, get up, dust yourselves off, and get the fuck to work because there's a lot of shit to do. And at the moment, we the people still have the ball. I know it doesn't feel like that. It feels like that, like phony Stark and his fucking Doge bags have the ball. But let's speak to that really quickly because you're right about Donald Trump and his ego. But that what is shocking to me, knowing that what is happening with Elon Musk is like, what the fuck is going on there? Because normally, when somebody like that was like, helmed as the president and put on Time magazine behind the Resolute desk and is holding off like meetings from the Oval Office with his fucking booger picking kid and running, cabinet meetings and shit. The old Donald Trump, I'm not saying he's departed the building, but the Donald Trump we've all known used to be the kind of guy who legitimately would be like, fuck, get him out. Nope, nope, he's taking my spotlight. That's my attention he's taking. I'm the king. Like, I'm the big boy. But that's not happening. Even though they're publicly saying he said to his cabinet officials, you're responsible for firing. Bullshit. Until I see a real separation and move away from Elon, I'm not going to believe that that's happening. So what the fuck is that all about?
Okay, I'll give you Ostroy's take on the bromance.
Okay.
You're right. That's not happening yet.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what I said a minute ago. 6 weeks. It is
Yeah.
only 6 weeks.
But it's Trump.
It's going to happen.
Mm.
That bromance cannot and will not last because you
Mm-hmm.
have two malignant narcissists who both come out of a corner office, are used to everyone doing whatever they say. When they say jump, the answer is how high. They cannot be co-presidents.
Mm.
And here, it's just about an inflection point. And where that point may come is when at the intersection of the economy starting to tank, recessionary metrics starting to sink in, his poll numbers continuing to tank, and then someone like Bannon is going to whisper in his ear, if he's not doing it already, sir, you know that the American people love you. You're their favorite president. On your own, you've been great, the greatest president in history.
Yeah.
Until that guy came along and he's fucking up everything for you.
Mm.
He's the reason. He's the reason why the Americans our people are storming the town halls. He's the reason they're upset, not because of you, because of him. And
Mm.
Trump, he listens to the last person he speaks to. So I think that's the point. I don't know whether it's going to be 30 days from now, 60 days from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. But I could almost guarantee you that within like 8 months, it'll be gone because it cannot last for the reason you said.
Yeah.
He cannot share that spotlight, and
Yeah.
it's starting to hurt him.
Well, yes, but then again, he doesn't seem to have a real eye focused on like what is popular other than lying to the American people at his State of the Disunion because like, he's not doing popular things either. I mean, statistically speaking, defunding the efforts in Ukraine are not popular with the American
Oh,
people.
of
He doesn't give
course.
a
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah, yeah.
He's not
But
trying to
what
lower
we
the
know,
price of jack shit right now.
no, but what we know about Trump is that there will always be a scapegoat.
Oh yeah.
History with him repeats itself.
Yes.
Think about the turnover in the first term. Like
Yes.
everybody's going crazy over Hegseth and Bondi and this one and that one. With 12 months from now, half of them will probably be gone.
Oh,
Because what's going to
Rubio for
happen
sure.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, the man made a living, probably the only living in his life, saying you're fired, right? He
Hmm.
loves to fire people. He already got rid of the head of ICE. It's not even
Yeah.
6 weeks.
Oh, he did? I didn't even
So
know that.
heads will roll unless everything is humming. And when you have chaos from top to bottom in an administration, it can't and won't hum.
I just
So it's just
yeah.
a matter of time before he starts blaming people. And Musk is like the biggest pinata in the room to me.
Hmm. I'm again
You're not
old
buying it, are you?
old Joe. Once upon a time, old Joe, she would have said, "You know what, Andy, you're right, but there's something nefarious going on here that is just so fucking weird." It seems like
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump doesn't really want to do the job. He's like sitting there watching Elon, like looking like a little like hermit, like a little bot, like melted circus peanut ball of goo. And he's like, his physical stature's weird. Like, he's just kind of like, what's in that book? Let me sign that one. Like, I don't know. There's that part. And then there's the part where he's like, at the state of the thing, he's like, Elon Musk is running the thing. I said he wasn't running. And, I'm listening to different experts saying, Peter Thiel is really running the show here, and that Elon is doing his bidding, and that Trump is doing his bidding, and that there was some kind of fucked up agreements here that they would help install him into the White House so that he would avoid prison and dying there, which he surely would have if he, became their puppet and let them, basically destroy the federal government and, launch like fucking the end of our democracy, but also the crashing of our economy, like a depression. Like that guy they keep talking about, that like Peter Thiel's like whisperer. I forget it, what his name is. What the fuck is his name? But whatever. There's this theory that he's just really truly at this point a useful idiot, and that he doesn't actually care at all about his approval ratings. He doesn't care about running the show. He just doesn't. He just didn't want to go to prison.
Yes, I will counter with that sounds like a rational human being.
You're right.
But if you believe that he truly is a sociopath, which many
Yes.
people do,
Yes.
and a malignant narcissist,
Yes.
they don't have the capacity to think. This is why I say I am half Donald Trump,
Oh God.
because I have to think like him in order
Yeah.
to figure out A, what's going on, and B, what's likely to go on, and C, what do we as a party need to do. He he's he has zero impulse control. He has an insatiable craving for attention, for validation, for credit. He can't open his mouth without saying, I did that, I did that. Nobody gives me the credit. He's like a 5-year-old who's just, Mommy, look what I did. I did that. I
I
did that.
did
And
poopy on
so
the potty today.
I just crapped on your bed. So he can't help himself. If he was able to think like you're just saying right now, we'd be in a different situation. And
Maybe.
that is the point, that you have to understand him. And
Mm.
if you understand him the way I think I do,
Yeah.
that's why Musk can't. There will be a point where he's just like, yeah, no, this is good. No, you know what? It's not. I was popular once and now I'm not. Like, it's the stock market and his numbers are the only two things he cares about.
Yeah, but
That's
the
the way
stock
it's
market's
always
still
been.
crashing and he's not changing it. Like everything's tanking
Well,
and
he
he's not
has. Just
changing
look
it.
at the decisive, the whiplash with the tariffs. Of course, he's changing it. He's not changing it. What's see, the problem is, uh, the market starts tuning his shit out. So what used to, like, if the market crashed and he said, okay, no, a 30-day pause on Mexico, the market would go back up. Now they're like, we're not buying that shit anymore.
Right.
You are chaotic and you're fucking up this economy,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna gyrate day to day based on your impulses and complete lack of any strategy with anything you're doing. And
Yeah.
so he really is running the risk of taking what was perhaps the greatest economy in decades and a
Hmm.
soaring record stock market and destroying both of it. And it's only 6 weeks in.
Job growth,
Only 6 weeks in. Now, if you're a
inflation.
MAGA person, yeah, if you're sitting in Pennsylvania somewhere or Michigan or a state that really counts when it comes to election day, and you're a Republican who, not the Joe Biden wasn't the real president because he was sitting in Gitmo. John F. Kennedy Jr. was the real president. If you're that kind of Republican, sit down. We don't need you. We'll never try to convince you because you'll never be convinced. But if
Hmm.
you're like the Obama guy, I voted for Obama, but then now I just want to shake things up, so I voted for Trump. Like, if you're that person, you're looking at your retirement account every day, like everybody else who has a retirement account. I mean, over 50% of the people in this country are invested in stocks. So it's a
Hmm.
pretty significant percentage.
Hmm.
And you're wondering, like, it's 6 months, what the fuck? What's
Yeah.
happening? Plus,
Yeah.
my Uncle Harry lost his job, was working. I took my kids on vacation. I was waiting online a mile at a park, a national park.
Yeah.
I'm worried about Medicaid, and my mother is freaking out because of Social Security. Like, people are not happy. That's why they shut down. They can call them paid protesters all they want, but they know what's going on, but they can't help themselves either because they're terrified of him. So it's all to me, it's like a volcano. Like, if this is the volcano, the mountain, right? When it's bubbling up, we don't see it. We only see it when it explodes, right?
Hmm.
But I feel like there is, in Congress, in
Hmm.
his administration. That sham meeting yesterday with the cabinet, like you guys should have the and don't and it's not because anybody's fighting. Everybody loves. We know that Donald Trump, the minute he opens his mouth, is the minute he lies, right?
Well,
So
right,
when he's
right. That's
saying
true.
everybody's getting along, everybody loves that meeting was because they must be fighting like mad and complaining to him.
Oh
Hexit
yeah.
and all these people, Cash Patel going, it's my fucking budget. What'd you bring
Hmm.
me on for if this guy's running all the departments? So
Yeah.
we know the chaos is there, and then we know the firings are going to come, and the replacements. And as much as he talks about Pam Bondi, how great she is,
Oh, she'll
a
go.
year from now she'll be worthless. She was always worthless. Like
Yeah.
this is his MO. You're fired. And so Democrats just need to. I don't know. I was going to ask you, like, what did you think of James Carville saying we just need to like rope a dope and not do anything?
It's
Like,
bullshit.
what do you think Democrats need to do?
But first of all, I think we need to stop listening to people like James Carville. Thank you very much. Like, dude, tap out. Your time's up. Okay. Like, this is part of the problem. We keep listening to the same people who literally remember when dinosaurs roamed the earth. Like, tap out, bro. It's time. It's time to go. Like, you can't keep recycling the same fucking ideas. We lost everything, friend. Like, we lost fucking everything. And you can stop blaming everybody else and look inward because you had your moment. We need new thinking. We need new strategies. We do not need to keep fucking asking the literal dinosaurs themselves. But no, we do not need to be rolling over. And like fucking Charlie Kirk said himself, God forbid, Newsom platformed him. Thank you very much. Terrible fucking mistake to ask Charlie, the racist scumbag, misogynist Kirk. Oh, teach me, oh, Charlie One Kenobi, how to message when you've got a lot of fucking creators, like, for instance, hi, me out there telling you what you should be doing and you're not fucking listening. We'll just put a pin in that. But I mean, I think that's the wrong strategy. I think we need to go on the offense all the time. Like AOC is saying all the time, if I see something every day, I'm going to say something every day, be in their faces, make them go on the defense. Stop letting them set the narrative and then responding to the narrative that they set so that all you do is perpetuate their narratives. Like I'm sick and tired of hearing about the Democrats and their responses to that bullshit speech he gave the other night, the manifesto, the 90-minute long meandering bullshit gaslight propaganda fest of lies. And all they're talking about and what we're doing is chasing the conversation is what Al Green did or didn't do with a cane, what the thing of fucking paddles and all this. That's not the story. The story is what he said and how he lied and what is actually happening. To me, that's the story. But the Democrats are chasing what the Republicans are saying the narrative is once again. So no, we should not just play dead. We should be the ones making them respond. For instance, when they shut down the Medicaid portals and the Democratic senators were saying my constituents are telling me that the Democratic portals, I mean that the Medicaid portals are frozen, shut down. What happened was a grassroots group of people went to social media and said 71 million of you, 72 million, however many there are on Medicaid. Yeah, this is happening. This is real. And then everybody was freaking out and what the fuck's going on? And then Caroline Levitt puts out this statement on Twitter and a federal judge is like, hold on, you actually just admitted you're doing the thing that you said you weren't doing. And so what happened there was they had to retreat. They had to go on the defense and they fucked up. Why? Because they are about as well oiled as the Titanic on the bottom of the fucking ocean right now. They are not actually a functioning team. These are not grown-ups. They're not adept at any of this. What they're good at is making all of us, making all the grown-ups in the room respond to them being the monkey throwing the shit at the wall. That's what they do. And so to Carville's incorrect opinion, the opposite is the truth. When we called them weird, we were on the offense and they were fucking flailing. The Brian, like whatever his name is, who could kill me. I call him smell my own fart face. That guy was like, I'm not weird. And they were saying they weren't weird every 10 seconds because they were like, what does it even mean to be weird? I'm not weird. Like, no, that's the kind of shit we should be doing. Take up the oxygen, take it back, gobble it up bite by bite, do what they do. I don't care if it seems crazy or irrational or whatever. But as long as our side is still the one that does care about facts and truth and science and weather and, you know, all of that stuff, we have to be the louder voices in the space. And there's lots of ways to do that that we're not currently doing. They defaulted, they went right back to the old way they did shit. Except for maybe Chris Murphy, Andy Kim, and a couple other people. They went right back to the same way they were doing shit before. And guess what? You're going to get the same result. And if you don't think you're going to get the same result, then that's the definition of insanity. So James Carville, respectfully, you had your moment, and tap out and move over, because there's new ideas, and we need to be taking advantage of this opportunity, sadly, of being brought down to the, you know, the foundation of who we are, so that we can build something new, something stronger. That old model was never going to sustain anymore. That world is gone. You can't play by those rules. So yeah, that's what I think about what James Carville said. What about you?
Well, I have never been one to say, let's just kick back and see what happens. Like, that's not my thing. In fact, I take the exact opposite approach. And like, you remember the old Roadrunner,
Sure.
Bugs Bunny kind of like when they would just throw all kinds of stuff in the street to try to stop the whatever, the,
Yeah, like
you
the
know,
box of
glass.
tacks and like,
Yeah, the box of to me, Democrats need to answer the following question. Do we truly believe that not only is democracy under siege, but it could be gone in a matter of months?
yeah,
And Chris Murphy is out there saying it could be gone in 6 months, which is why we got to do everything right now.
yeah.
So I happen to believe that democracy is being tested like never before. And if unchecked, or
Hmm.
if we lie down and play stupid or whatever, like, yes, it could roll right over us.
Hmm.
But I also believe, to get back to what you were saying about Tuesday night, to me, like if I said, if your house was on fire, and I said, if your house is on fire, would you grab the dog or grab your kids or grab your passport and the things you can't really replace, or a photo album that's precious to you? Would you also grab a fire extinguisher and try to put out the source of the original blaze? Or would you call the fire department? What is your answer going to be?
Me?
All the above. Yeah, all
Yeah,
the above,
I'm
right?
taking everything. Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
doing all the
Okay.
things.
Okay. So if we think our democratic democracy, if our house is on fire, then we got to do everything. So
Yeah.
I, while I'm not dwelling on what Democrats did or didn't do Tuesday night just to complain, I'm dwelling on it because the house is on fire. Nobody goes like, okay, I'll call the fire department in a minute. I just want to finish this next Netflix show, right?
Yeah.
So showing up with pink outfits, the fucking
Paddles.
auction paddles and the bingo cards, and one person standing up and doing the right thing. Imagine if when he was escorted out, if the next one stood up and did the same thing,
Oh, yeah, I agree.
and he or she was escorted out. And this took place over and over and over again until there was
Yeah,
no more Democrats left in that building.
I agree.
What would have happened? He would have been stopped from spewing his lies and propaganda,
Yep.
and the thing would have taken hours and hours to get through,
Yep.
right?
And then nobody would have said
Well,
they didn't clap for for little
yeah,
DJ. They didn't clap for Laken Riley's family because they wouldn't have been in the room.
yeah. So Democrats as a party. You had Chris Murphy who didn't show up, and a couple of others, AOC. You had people like Maxwell Frost and others who left in the middle. You had people who stayed. That's not a unifying message of, oh my God, democracy is under fire and we know exactly how to tackle this problem.
Yeah, good
That is,
point.
some people think it's this, some people think it's that. I stayed, you left, I didn't go, I didn't show up, you showed up.
Yeah.
Like, so they have to march in lockstep like
Hmm.
Republicans
Hmm.
and answer the question, is the house on fire? If it
Hmm.
is, then every single thing they can do, they need to do. I
Yeah.
think Bernie Sanders is onto something. He's traveling the country in his fighting oligarchy tour. He's going into red towns, red
Hmm.
districts. I think there's an opportunity here to start speaking to these people the way we never have before.
Yeah.
Not in the macro terms. Oh, it's crazy if we shut down the Department of Education. That's so wrong. No, bring it into their house. Hey, do
Mm.
you have a kid in school who
Yeah.
gets occupational therapy or speech
Right.
therapy? Well,
Right.
guess what? Not going to happen anymore.
Yep.
Hey, do you have a family member who was just laid off by the government?
Yep. Do you have a
Hey,
daughter who
are
might
you?
get pregnant?
Yeah. Or do you have a dad or a grandfather who can't get through the VA? Or,
Hmm.
hey, when's the last time you checked your 401k statement or your
Hmm.
retirement, your IRA? Like,
Right.
bring it home.
Right.
Ronald Reagan has the most famous, effective question in the history of politics. Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
Hmm.
Democrats need to be out in the trench in red districts,
Yeah.
starting now
Yep.
till the midterms, asking that question over and over again so that it's either in the last month since he took office, in the last 3 months since he took office, since in the last
Hmm.
6 months, a year, are you making more on Wall Street with your retirement? Are your kids getting the same services?
Right.
Are your veterans getting the same services?
Hmm.
Is your grandmother getting her Meals on Wheels, the Head Start program? How are you
Oh,
doing?
yeah.
Because here's the thing that really needs to change. We got to get out of this mentality of, oh, Fox News brainwashes these people, and our media is not as effective. Our ecosystem is not. It's not about
That's
what the
true, though.
media tells. It's what are the people right now feeling? And
Yes.
as they're starting to feel like they're getting kicked in the nuts,
Hmm.
Democrats should be right there going, yeah, isn't it terrible? But here's what we're going to do for you. Like, that's what they got to do.
Not just
You think
that.
this is not rocket science, right?
No, no, and you are 100% right. But I do think that that does encompass when you meet people where they are not just going in person, but you need to utilize the tools of social media, which is where people are consuming
Everything.
their information, right? But they are feeling it. And what is happening is they're being gaslit into believing, oh, yeah, no, this is actually fine. But what is also happening, which you've probably seen, and I apologize because the train is going through, is that they're saying they're people, this is still Biden's economy. I was on Piers Morgan
Sure.
twice in the last couple of weeks, and both times several panelists, including that fucking guy from Shark Tank, I forget, oh, it's only 5 weeks, it's not Donald Trump's economy yet, it's still, this is all Joe Biden's economy. And when I asked them, how do you make the case for this being Joe Biden's economy when inflation is worse now than it was for like the last 7 months of Joe Biden's term? It's going back up. It's not going down. You can't blame Biden for it reigniting. You have to blame the guy at the helm. And at what point is he responsible? But they will tell you when all of these trends, they're doing it right now, as you know. They're blaming. They today I heard, who was it, Maria Bartiromo? I don't know how to say her fucking last name. She said if someone said this all looks like we're heading towards a recession, and she said this would be Biden's recession. This would be Biden's recession. All the fucking numbers. We had the economy that was, the
Mhm.
envy of the world. Every fucking metric was in going in the right direction. All of our peer nations were looking at us going, America is killing it right now. We were drilling more than we ever have in history. I mean, inflation was going down, jobs were going up, consumer confidence was going up, consumer spending was going up. All these things that they gaslit the American people into thinking they weren't actually feeling when they were. I mean, I know people who bought a third car while saying, you know what, things are too expensive. They're just too expensive.
Mhm.
Like, do you fucking even
Sure.
hear yourself right now? But the opposite is
Mhm.
happening where people are being gaslit. You heard the Treasury Secretary say the American dream is not about goods being cheaper. It's about having
Mhm.
opportunity. What the fuck? A 500 millionaire, by the way, a
But
centimillionaire telling them that.
here's how we need to reel it in, because this is what, at least for me, I can't preach to other people what they should do. But so how many million, 70 something million people voted for Donald Trump, right?
Hmm. A little less than on Medicaid, or a little more than on Medicaid. Yeah.
Okay. So when you think that in the critical swing states, which were won by Trump by about 135,000 votes, that's the only thing that separates him from being
Yes.
in the Oval Office. And every election these days is super, super close.
Yeah.
Out of the 70 something million people, if we could just peel off 5 million, we
Hmm.
win elections.
Yeah.
So the people in that group, I'm trusting to go, wait a second. You've now been president 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. It's the midterms in 20. Like, this is you, baby. You
Yeah.
promised me and you didn't deliver.
The buck
Now,
stops with
the,
you.
the Marjorie Taylor Greene crowd, they'll still be saying it's Biden's fault in 2
I
years,
love
right?
paying more for eggs.
We don't need them. We don't need them. We
No, we
don't
don't.
want them. We don't have the kind of cult deprogramming training to win them over.
No.
We just focus on those people who said, I didn't like this. Eggs are expensive. I'm going to give this guy a shot. I don't like his character, but he makes shake things up and make my life better.
And
And
or we can
so,
get the people who didn't vote too.
right. So, and this is so his policies. It's no longer we've sort of passed the spin game amongst people like us, people in the media, etc. We are now at the point where people are starting to feel the impact of actual policies being implemented.
Yeah.
Policies that are coming at us like a freight train. And that is only going to continue. So Democrats should be very smart in not only recognizing this opportunity that's being given to them, but seize it with everything they have.
Yeah.
Stop the woke stuff. I mean, Gavin Newsom, you brought him up before, putting aside which podcast he goes on or not.
No, it's his podcast.
Right, it was his podcast, and he had Charlie Kirk on.
Yeah.
But the point that he made as he's setting his table for 28 is Democrats stop getting mired in these culture wars. So I look at it like everything we're seeing now and experiencing, we are in a war to save democracy. We should not be in culture wars. That's how Democrats lost. They focused on things that they should just do that stuff when you win, not when you're campaigning, when 3/4 of the country doesn't necessarily share your views on certain things. So to me, this is an opportunity. This is why I am perhaps more optimistic than a lot of people, because it's no different than, you could be going to the bottom of the ninth. If you're a baseball fan, you go to the bottom of the ninth of an inning, you're down by 5 runs, but you know that you've got this dude sitting on the bench who hasn't played yet, and he's got a bunch of home runs, and their relievers are all being used entire. Like you say, okay, or the Celtics, or the Red Sox rather. Okay, the Red Sox, they were down 3 games to none, and they came back and won.
Let's not use a Red Sox reference. It's kind, but it's kind of like they gagged and bound the best players on your team, and you're like, oh, you want to get this like 14-year-old kid with a boner to come up to bat, and you don't know if he can even hit a ball. All right, well, let's try that, because that's kind of where we're at, right?
Like it's about never giving up, and the old expression, when the going gets rough, the rough get going. So that's where Democrats in Washington and Democrats at home and moderate Republicans and independents need to be like, wait a second, this is not what we asked for. This is not what we want. And this is hurting not just me, but it's hurting the country. And if they can do that, look, 55% of Democrats vote in elections. Why don't we, if the House is on fire, shouldn't we have 70 or 75% turnout, 80% turnout in 26?
But we have to make them own it. It's not just that. It's not just right. They really have to wear it like a fucking, like an albatross around their necks, because they're slippery motherfuckers, and they're gaslighters, and they're propagandists, and they have a lot of tools at their disposal to convince you that up is down and war is peace, and that slavery is freedom and ignorance is smarts, whatever, intelligence. I forget the quote, but they have a lot of tools to gaslight people into thinking, look what just happened. They gaslit the American people into thinking the economy was failing them, that the administration in charge was failing them, when that was not factually true. And when they were coming with no solutions other than gaslighting them into eggs are very expensive and blah, 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 blah. Your life is so much more expensive. And now those things are literally happening, and they continue to gaslight them into thinking that the opposite is true. So what we need to do, and to your point, but this is the really crucial component, is really make them fucking own it. Yes, in person, you're right. I keep saying the same thing. Go into your own districts. Go talk to your people. I think every congressman, every Democratic congressperson should be following people in their towns and districts around, going, what's going on today? Oh, did you get fired from your government job? Did you vote for Donald Trump? Oh, is your daughter with, ovarian cysts having to travel 16 hours to just see a fucking doctor? Oh, did your wife miscarry, and because she still had a fetal heartbeat, they sent her home 4 times until she hemorrhaged all the fuck over your house, and you had to drag her lifeless body, put her in the car with your baby, and pray to God that she made it to the hospital alive? Like, these are the kinds of things they should be doing, and you cannot be doing that, right, right? Exactly to your point, while laying back and waiting for this shit for them to like undermine themselves and shoot themselves in the foot. Because while they're shooting themselves in the foot, they're going to be telling you that they're actually winning. That's what they're going to do. And that's very powerful. And people are not dialed in enough to understand it. Yes, they have to feel it, but they also have to understand when they're feeling it, who is actually responsible for it. And they're so far not making those connections as succinctly as they can. And that is the piece that is, yes, go in person. I think that is huge, but also talk to people where they are consuming their information. And that is spaces like this. That's your podcast. That's maybe my podcast. That's Twitter. It's Blue Sky. It's Facebook. It's fucking all the places that are not do not end in a NBC or an ABC. Like it's all those other places because the legacy media isn't really helping with this messaging at all, and nobody's tuning into that. So they have to fucking wear this like Chester Prynne is what I call Nancy Mace, like her fucking Scarlet A. They need to be walking around. You need to be understanding everybody out there, which I know everybody who's listening to this and watching this gets it, but like my people in my town who are like, gosh, everything's so there's no eggs. Or a friend of mine who sent me a picture today of at a deli where it said egg sandwiches are now $1 more because eggs are ridiculously expensive. Just like be like, I'm gonna add a little sticker of Donald Trump. I did that to all this shit so that people
Hmm.
understand that he is responsible. That's why all of this shit is happening to you right now. And I don't know, Andy, back to the original point that he gives a flying fuck. I honestly don't know if his mandate is not to burn the entire country down because I'm looking around and from where I'm sitting, I'm thinking, wow, if you actually task somebody with destroying this country from within and you gave them a map and a guide to do that, he's literally following that. Because it sure as fuck feels like he doesn't care if our economy crashes. He doesn't care if people get fucking bird flu. He doesn't care if kids end up like cutting their arms off in meat packing plants. He doesn't fucking care. And I think part of that, like frighteningly, is that his mandate from Vladimir Putin was to destroy us from within and was from the beginning. So, all that being said, we do have a window of time where we, the people, still have the ball and we have to take it. But the Democrats have to keep exactly to your point. They have to keep riding the opportunity that is the wrecking ball that the Republicans have sent into our country and into our communities.
Yeah, I will only push back just a little and say he does care about the stock market. He does care about his poll numbers. It's been the identity of his entire life. It's how he views himself. It's everything he's ever done in media, TV, books, politics, whatever. It's all about, look at me, how fucking successful I am. It's
Mm,
hard to say that when everything around you is crumbling. And it
yeah,
is crumbling. And
yeah.
to your point, he is burning it down. I just don't know if it's willful to the way you're describing it. But when it does continue to crumble, we do know, as I said before, heads will roll because he will blame everyone but himself.
Yeah, but we haven't seen all the cards yet in his like he's building what fucking Hegseth is going to be doing. And like there's some really fucking scary, shady, terrifying shit on the horizon that I don't think we've really dipped our toes in the water on that shit yet. Like, martial law and like fucking emergency powers shit. I just don't know that we've seen all the plays here that are yet to be played. And I think chaos and seizing all the power in those kinds of ways, they supersede his ego in a way that I'm afraid to even pontificate on. But I'll defer. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and hope that the optimistic viewpoint that he's just a fucking narcissistic idiot who's actually going to check a lot of these people in a weird way by firing them. Okay, maybe. Let's talk again in I'd say 5 months and see because I don't think Hegseth's mandate has been fully unleashed yet. So I don't think the worst of what they're attempting to do that is not by his design is underway just yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm being like, a little bit doomsday scenario, but not to be disheartening. We still have the ball, but I don't know. I just don't know, Andy.
Well, nobody knows, and it is
Yeah.
scary stuff. But
Yeah.
there are guardrails that are working, not a lot, but there is chaos, and chaos you can't achieve you can't execute on a vision. You can't achieve success if there's just chaos all around you, whether you're in Oval Office or the corner office in business.
Yeah.
And so we just, in that sense, I partially agree with Carville. Let Trump be Trump. Let them do their thing. Where I differ with him significantly is I'm not just sitting back on the ropes waiting for them to implode. When
No.
they are weakening themselves, pounce,
Yeah.
pounce more than ever before.
Yeah.
That's what he really should have written, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
they're going to drop a Chauvin pardon and they're going to drop a federal ban on abortion and mifepristone. Those are things that are coming. So I'm just going to say like that yes, those are we need to be braced for. But like when they're down, they're going to hit. When they're down and we're trying to pounce, they're going to hit us. I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm trying to be honest and like bracing for like the worst of it because I think it's going to get fucking really bad. But yes, we need to take every
It
opportunity
could
we
very
can to
well.
pounce.
Yeah.
Yeah. That said, we still, like you said, we still have to hold our heads up high. We still have to have conversations and we still have to connect with each other and
Hmm.
we have to use our own spheres of influence to talk to people who don't like fucking understand what is happening and why. That's the big, big,
Hmm.
big piece too. So we can all do something. We can all do a little bit, even if it means just a conversation with your neighbor, the lady at the grocery store who doesn't understand what the fuck eggs are so
Totally.
expensive or they can't get them right
Hmm.
now. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a lot. But like we haven't talked since
Hmm.
the inauguration. So I mean we didn't even talk about the January 6th fucking pardons and all that shit. Jesus, good God. But Andy, with all that said, what are you writing about on your Substack? What are the kinds of things, where can folks find you obviously? What are you talking about on your podcast? All that good stuff.
Just the podcast is The Back Room with Andy Ostroy. You can find it anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm writing on Substack and talking on the podcast about Trump, the Republican Party, what the Democrats need to do, what we need to do as citizens, and how we need to be responsible. We got to stop blaming the media, the politicians. It's on us.
Mm.
Government of the people, by the people, for the people. If I got that in the right order, it's just we have to vote. If we vote, we get whatever we want.
Yeah, but then
It's that simple.
I know, but then people will say to you, and it's not hyperbolic to say this, well, God forbid I mean, what if we don't get to the midterms? What if he cancels the fucking midterms because they pardoned Chauvin and then there's
Not
protests in
going
the
to
street
happen.
and then
Not going to happen.
I'm not going to say it's not. I am never going to say never. I mean, I did not fucking think he would win again. I really did not fucking think this would happen. I really didn't. And here we are. And I'm not ruling anything out that he's not going to institute emergency powers because there's some kind of protest about that pardon. And then they're like, oh, look at, all these people need to be arrested. And I don't fucking know. I just don't. I'm not saying never about any of it. But you're right. And I often say this as well. We, the people, have the moment, have the ball, we have the power. We have to lean into that. We have to keep raising the alarm, keep getting loud, keep talking to each other, keep, standing together. That's the key. Don't let them divide us too,
Hmm.
because that's something they're
Hmm.
really trying to do. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we covered a lot of ground, and I don't usually take the posture of a pessimist, and that is not my style, at all. I just sometimes I just sometimes I'm like, fuck, it's gonna be. This is what I say. Last thing, it is gonna be hard. What is coming? We have no idea how hard it's gonna get. It is gonna get scary and crazy, and people are going
Hmm.
to die and things are going to be unaffordable and people are going to lose everything. And that's fucking crazy to say. Yes, it's going to happen. But we cannot ever lose sight of the fact that we are still the ones who hold the keys to fixing it and building something new.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes. So brace for the worst, prepare for the worst, and stand together and stand strong and never lose sight of what you want and how to get there. Right?
Absolutely. Well, keep doing what you're doing.
You keep
It's
doing what you're doing. And we'll keep talking, and we won't go so long in between talking so that I sound like I haven't talked to you in 25 years by being like, and what about something that happened 45 million years ago? Can we please talk about that? Yeah, and let's go Rangers. And never
alrighty.
reference the Red Sox in my presence again, sir. Never.
My bad.
Yeah, let's go
Alrighty.
Yankees. All right. Well, thank you, Andy.
Take
Guys,
care.
this uplifting episode of the Are You Effing Kidding You
Stay
podcast.
positive. Stay positive.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. And always laugh. Like when we're smiling, we're still smiling.
Sure.
Or I'm not in the gulag, and like I'm gonna celebrate that. But no, for real, like we always try and keep laughing, keep smiling, keep our heads up, and keep fighting. Always keep punching in the nose. So thank
Alrighty.
you everybody for tuning in, and thank you to my guest Andy Ostroy. This concludes this episode of the Are You Effing Kidding Me podcast. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, bye, Andy.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Take care.